Was a cold night in a quiet suburban neighborhood where the air carried an unusual silence, the kind that sometimes comes before a storm of destiny. Emma, a young woman with soft eyes that always carried kindness and a heart that had never turned away from anyone in need, was walking home after working late. She lived alone, her life simple, her days filled with work and caring for her aging mother who lived across town. She was not a soldier, not a police officer, not someone who had been trained for danger. But she had something far more powerful, an instinctive courage that came from love for humanity, a heart that never thought twice when she saw someone suffering. That night, as she passed an alley near the main road, she heard a sound that froze her, moans of pain, low and broken. Most people would have walked faster, pretended not to hear, kept themselves safe. But Emma stopped. She turned toward the alley, where the dim light of a flickering lamp revealed a figure on the ground. It was a man, in uniform, blood pooling beneath him. His face was pale, and his breathing ragged. A wounded Marine, barely conscious, his hand reaching weakly as though begging the world not to abandon him. Emma's breath caught, her heart pounding in her chest. She had no idea why a Marine was lying there, injured and bleeding, but she knew one thing: she couldn't leave him. She rushed forward, her hands trembling, whispering words of comfort. "You're not alone, I'm here, hold on." She pulled off her jacket and pressed it against his wound, desperately trying to stop the bleeding. His eyes flickered open for a second, a whisper escaping his lips: "Please, don't let them find me." Confused but determined, Emma didn't ask questions. She just knew she had to save him. But before she could even think of calling for help, the shadows at the end of the alley moved. Dark figures emerged, menacing and cold, carrying knives glinting under the streetlight. They weren't random strangers, they had been hunting the injured Marine. And now, they had found him, and her. Emma's heart leapt into her throat. She could have run, she could have screamed, but as the men advanced, eyes locked on the Marine, she instinctively stepped in front of him, her arms spread wide. "Please, he's hurt, leave him alone," she begged, her voice shaking yet filled with defiance. The leader sneered, his voice cruel. "Move aside, he's not your problem." But Emma didn't move. Fear surged through her, but something stronger kept her rooted. This soldier had risked his life for her country, for people like her. How could she turn away now? The attackers lunged. In those moments, chaos exploded in the alley. Emma fought back with everything she had, grabbing anything within reach, shoving, striking, screaming for help. But they were merciless. A knife flashed, and pain seared through her. Once, twice, then again. She fell, but each time she forced herself up, blocking their path, protecting the Marine with her own body. 7 times the blade cut into her flesh, 7 times her strength waned. But still, she stood between them and the dying man. Her hands slick with her own blood, she whispered to him, "I won't let them take you." Finally, the sound of footsteps, shouts, sirens filled the night. Someone had heard the struggle and called the police. The attackers fled, disappearing into the darkness like shadows melting away. Emma collapsed beside the Marine, her body shaking, vision blurring, but her hand still pressed against his chest as if to shield him from any more harm. When help arrived, they found a scene that broke even the hardest hearts. A young woman bleeding heavily, stabbed 7 times, yet still clinging to life while keeping her body protectively curved around the wounded Marine. Both were rushed to the hospital. Hours of surgery followed. Emma drifted between life and death, her body weak but her spirit unwilling to let go. The Marine too was in critical condition, but thanks to her sacrifice, he survived. Word of what had happened spread quickly. By morning, the story reached the Marine Corps. They learned of the civilian woman who had nearly given her life to protect one of their own, a woman with no training, no duty, no obligation, but with a bravery that rivaled the finest soldiers. At dawn, when the first rays of sunlight touched her little house, Emma's mother opened the door to find Marines standing at the doorstep. Their uniforms crisp, their faces solemn yet filled with respect, they had come not out of formality but from deep gratitude. They stood as though before a fallen comrade, hats in hand. One of them, a high-ranking officer, spoke softly, "Your daughter is a hero. She stood where few would have stood. She protected one of ours as if she were one of us. From this day forward, she is family to us." Tears welled in her mother's eyes as she listened, her heart swelling with pride and fear. Emma was still fighting for her life in the hospital, but the Marine's presence was a promise. She would never be forgotten, no matter the outcome. In the days that followed, the hospital room became a place of quiet honor. Marines took turns sitting by her side, guarding her as she had guarded one of them. They brought flowers, prayers, and stories of their battles, whispering words of encouragement into her ears even when she couldn't respond. Slowly, against all odds, Emma's strength returned. Each breath she drew was painful but victorious, each day a testament to her unyielding spirit. The Marine she saved recovered too, and when he was finally able to walk, the first place he went was her bedside. With tears streaming down his scarred face, he took her hand and whispered, "You didn't even know me, and you gave everything. You are my sister now, my family forever." Emma never considered herself a hero. In her heart, she had only done what was right. But to the Marines, to her mother, to the community, she was more than a hero. She was a reminder of the courage that lies hidden in ordinary people, waiting for the moment when the world needs it most. Her scars became symbols of honor, her name spoken with reverence among those who wore the uniform. She became a living story of sacrifice and love, a woman who faced knives with nothing but her heart and protected a soldier not because she had to, but because compassion gave her no other choice. And so, the girl who once walked home quietly at night became a legend in the hearts of many. Not because she carried a weapon or wore a uniform, but because when darkness closed in, she chose to be the light.